What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. As soon as I finish this stream, I'll be going live over to our second channel, Mundo Sporto, to host the watch along of tonight's Champions League semi-final first leg between Real Madrid and Chelsea. Hope to see you guys over there for that one. As always, folks, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. The words just aren't coming out. That's how stressful the last week has been. As always, folks, there is a load for us to get through on tonight's stream. So I thought we'd shake it up and do it a little bit differently. I thought I'd let you guys steer this stream. Anything that you want to bring up, any questions that you have, lash it into the chat. As always, I'll do my best to get through it. I have been looking into the transfers, as you'd expect me to. I have been reaching out to people. There's a little bit of stuff on Sancho that I'll go through and a little bit of other stuff as well. But as always, folks, I hope you're well. I hope the sun's shining wherever you are, and I hope you're all happy. This is the most important thing, really, isn't it? That we're all happy. How can we be happy, he says, when you're not in the Champions League next year? Yeah. Oh, the pain, folks. The pain. It is, it's very frustrating, isn't it? And then we wonder what type of transfer window we're going to have. Well, the club's accounts were released for the previous financial year. I'm sure you've seen it all over the media today as well. No real surprises in there. There's one thing that did surprise me, actually, that I found out today, and I'm sure you guys probably read this somewhere as well. But so, you know, the way we had been linked to David Alaba at one point, and a lot of us were wondering if, you know, it makes sense from a Klopp perspective with regards to the amount of positions he'd play. Well, when the news broke today that he's getting a 30 million quid signing on fee at Real Madrid and 400 grand a week, as well as the potential assurance that he'll get played mainly in midfield, that kind of made me understand very quickly why Liverpool weren't in for that deal, because let's be honest, on what planet is he worth 400 grand a week and 30 million quid signing on fee on top of his agent's fees and that demand of wanting to play in midfield? It was, it shocked me. It really, really did shock me to hear that amount of money. I know you always pay extra when you're getting somebody on, well, what we would call a free transfer, us mere mortals, but 30 million signing on free, that's nuts. Love you too, Oisin, by the way. Thank you for the kind words. It's ridiculous, RSH14, isn't it? I mean, the fact Real Madrid are in financial mess, we know that. They're trying to get Mbappe, they're trying to get Haaland, they're trying to push the Super League stuff. And then we hear this, you know, and you wonder, like, this is why you got into that mess. Paying people like Alaba 400 grand a week. But I also got another surprise today, ladies and gents, when I found out that Liverpool actually have the second highest wage in the Premier League, the second highest wage bill in the Premier League, behind only Manchester City. Now, I did touch on the wages yesterday, and I did say to you guys, you know, our wage bill is fairly high, but 320 million quid a year, something like that, and it's only going to go up as well, of course, when we renew contracts. Although I say that, if we move some players on, maybe it will go down. Some fringe players like Gini's wages, they're going to be freed up as an example, and you would suspect if you bring in players of a younger ilk to replace like Gini, they'd probably start off on lower wages. But to hear that we're paying out more wages than United, as an example, when they're paying De Gea like 350 grand a week and our highest paid player is on about 200 grand a week, it makes you think that we must have a group of very well paid senior pros at the club overall if our wage bill is that high. Now, of course, a lot of Liverpool stuff is highly incentivized, and the fact that we've won the Premier League and stuff, that would trigger, I suppose, bonuses for the players, and that's understandable as well. And you do want to see players compensated for success. So, I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but I was just a bit taken aback by quite how much Liverpool are paying out in wages. What else we got? We need a big signing like Haaland, Mbappe or Sancho. Look, I could sit here and blow smoke up your arse, mate, and say, yeah, there's every possibility we'll sign Mbappe or Haaland this summer. But realistically, I think both of those names are off the table. Now, like everybody else, I'd be very, very happy to be surprised and be wrong, but I don't think I will be. The Sancho stuff, there's been a few more links today, and there's also been talk around Pochettino, and he had a little conversation with Mbappe, and Mbappe always asking about the Premier League. Apparently Mbappe speaks Spanish, French and English, so take from that what you may. But with regards to Sancho, everything, and I've reached out to a couple of people on this, because the original story around Sancho broke from a Spanish outlet, I think, that suggested that Liverpool were monitoring him and potentially willing to pay 100 million. Now, that was a couple of days after the whole Super League fiasco, and you're wondering, is this pure nonsense? But from what I can gather, and again, don't take what I'm saying as gospel, it's just the few bits of information that I've been able to gather and my own opinion on top of it, it looks like that the only way we would be in for the likes of Jadon Sancho, and I'm not putting Haaland and Mbappe in this category because I just don't think they're realistic, but is with moving on, a big player. So again, you know, it shouldn't be a surprise to us. Every summer and every January we sit here and we have these conversations and we speak about, will our owner spend a load of money this summer? And look, the answer is always no. The answer is always we are a sell-to-buy club with regards to big transfers. And we're all sitting here hoping beyond hope that maybe there's some apology money, for want of a better phrase, from the owners. But we also have to look at the fact that we are coming out of a global pandemic. Every club's finances have been hit. So yeah, I'm not expecting massive signings this summer unless we do move somebody on. Some of the other signings that we've spoken about, they are entirely realistic. Canade, even though, again, in the media today, there's talk around what the release clause actually is. There's some talk that it might go up to £40 million. Either way, I can't see that being the stumbling block. That deal's going to happen. Then you've got the stuff around Kabak, which, in all honesty, we don't know yet. Neuhaus, somebody who, again, a few people in our Discord group keep bringing to my attention and keep telling me to keep an eye on him. Again, Christian Falk, I believe, has said that there is interest there from Liverpool, which shouldn't be a surprise because we are going to need to bring in a midfielder. You know, my choice would be Basuma. You know, I'm not going to hide that. I think he would be an adequate replacement for Gini Wijnaldum. But then, of course, we do have to face down the barrel of the reality, folks, that we may be a Europa League club next season. In fact, we probably will be. Now, there's two ways to look at this. If you're a manager, you're a club owner, or you're a player, you don't really want to think short term. So I like to think that one season in the Europa League wouldn't necessarily put off any potential signings, other than maybe the likes of Mbappe or Haaland. But most footballers that are around the 30 to 50 million bracket or even less, I think realistically wouldn't have any issues coming to Liverpool if we were in the Europa League for 1 year. I mean, I think it's easy to pitch to these players that it's a bit of an anomaly this season with the, you know, the injuries we've had and stuff like that, why we're in that position. So I think that's understandable if you get where I'm coming from. So I wouldn't expect that to really have as much of an effect on our transfer business as we probably think it will, because we can look at it from the point of view of, well, we're not in the Champions League, we won't be able to attract the players. But then again, you know, you come around full circle, you think to yourself, well, if we don't attract the players in, will we be able to stay in the Champions League for the foreseeable future? So I think there won't be any short-term views on this from the owners. And one thing we have to give them credit for, and I know nobody at this moment in time ever wants to give our owners credit, and I'm with you, but they aren't short-term thinkers. They do always think bigger picture, long-term. And I think we will go ahead with whatever the list was that Jurgen Klopp and the scouting team have been drawing up all season. I don't think any of our targets will realistically change. Why is no club promoting from the youth anymore? I would say there are some exceptions to that, James. I mean, it's a fair point. And look, we've brought through, obviously, Nico Williams. We've brought through Curtis Jones, Trent Alexander-Arnold. We've given a chance this season as well to Reece Williams at centre-back as well. So I would say that we are bringing through, mate. And Harvey Elliott, of course, as well, who, like, wasn't someone that came to our academy, but is a young player. He'll probably get a chance as well. So I think there are exceptions to the rule, mate, but I think the answer to that really lies in the fact that managers are usually so under pressure to succeed that they haven't got the patience from owners and fans to be able to really bring through a solid group of players, whether it be 3, 4, 5, like you see with Ajax or clubs like that. So that's where I go with that. But I think ideally we'd all love that. I mean, players come to your academy into the first team, you save the clubs a fortune. I think that would be a win-win for everybody. But I really do think it's just why we see so many young players now moving from England to the likes of Germany, because they know that they'll get opportunities there, where the managers in the Premier League, particularly at the top, don't seem to have the time, don't seem to have the grace period to because of how competitive the league is, to give these guys a break. What about Suarez? Not heard anything. Again, speaking with Graham Hunter about it the other day, he was shocked that I even brought it up, to be honest with you. Do I think, you know, for Champions League is a chance for Liverpool? No, I don't. I really don't. Look, I don't want to be downbeat. You know me, I'm usually an optimistic person, but I can't in good conscience come on here and say, yeah, we're probably going to qualify for the Champions League when we've just had 2 games in a week, drawn them both. We're away to Manchester United on Sunday, and we haven't really put together a string of wins yet this season, past maybe 3 games or so. So I don't know where this form is suddenly going to appear from with all the other results going against us. Now, we had the chance this week. If we had have beaten Leeds, if we had have beaten Newcastle, I would be sitting here saying I'm pretty damn confident we would have been in the Champions League next season. But right now, no, I don't have that confidence, to be honest with you. Somebody said, I want a striker. And I'm with you. Who was it? Shane Duffy. I'm with you, Shane, on that one. And do you know what? I don't think you're going to be disappointed this summer, mate. I think we will buy a striker this summer. Whether that is a Patson Daka, whether that is a Malin, whether that is the guy from Fiorentina or the guy from Prague, I don't know. But all signs do point to us going out there and getting a striker this summer. And by striker, I mean striker. I don't mean left winger come striker. I mean striker. Somebody who plays through the middle. There's been a link today to Ollie Watkins. I think that came out from Football Insider. How do I say this? Watkins kind of strikes me as another Bobby Firmino, if that makes sense. Now, I know people are going to point and say, well, he scored a whole load of goals at Brentford and he's had a decent first season at Villa. He has, but I don't see him as the fox in the box. I see him as somebody with a really high work rate, somebody who can certainly score a goal, somebody who is absolutely very talented. But I don't see him as being the forward we need, if that makes sense. And I also don't see Aston Villa wanting to sell him one season into his time at Aston Villa when they may have trouble trying to keep Jack Grealish and they want to establish themselves as a Premier League club and not be a yo-yo club, and they're going to want to look on and push forward. So I would say it would take an obscene amount of money to get Ollie Watkins, and I just don't think it's doable for us, and I don't think it's realistic for us to go out there and maybe drop, I don't even know what he would cost. I would imagine it would be upwards of 40 million anyway. Daka is a striker. Yes, I know that, mate. I'm well aware of that. That's why I said Daka and Malin when I was mentioning strikers. I mean, mate, if you tune in surely to Jesus, you know that I know the Patson Daka as a striker, my friend. Do I think Elliott will be in Klopp's plans for the year? I think I said this last night, Max, and I think if we qualify for the Europa League, there's probably more likelihood of Elliott staying here next season, because I would imagine he'd be given time in those games, as well as, of course, probably some domestic cup games and some league opportunities. But I think Europa League football would mean it's more likely for Elliott to stay. And I think if we were in Champions League, as an example, I think he'd probably have gone out on loan to a Premier League club. Now, I'm not ruling out him going on loan next season. I imagine Jurgen Klopp's going to give him the pre-season and have a look at him and see how he's come on, speak to the lad, see how he feels. Obviously, talk to Tony Mowbray about his time there and read the scouting reports from... he's been, by the way, he has been nominated for EFL Young Player of the Year, which is, speaks to how well he's played this season for Blackburn, even though Blackburn's form has fallen off a bit. Fritz Frank said, with all due respect to Ollie, I'm not interested. Nor am I, mate. I mean, I wouldn't rock my boat to see Ollie Watkins signing for Liverpool, I have to be honest with you. I think he's at a good club where he is there and probably at the right level. Elliott should be Mo's backup next season. Could be. I mean, I do think we do need to bring in whatever better centre forward. I agree with people who think we need to bring in cover or options to really push Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane as well. Now, whether that is Harvey Elliott or whether we go out there and bring in somebody else like a Rafinha or a Neto or something, that remains to be seen. But I do understand where you're coming from. When is the Madrid stream starting? I will start it as soon as I finish this one, and it'll be on Mundo Sporto, buddy. So we'll be over there at about 7:45. So I'll be on here for another 20 minutes, then I'll be jumping over there and doing a watch along of that, and I'll be there tomorrow night as well, and I'll be there Thursday night as well. Do you think we should buy another forward? Yes, I do, David. Would I prefer Malin or Daka? Probably inching towards Malin. The more I look at him, the more I see somebody who I think has the inner fight, the inner desire to play for Liverpool, whereas Daka is absolutely... I wouldn't have any issues with either of them, but from what I've looked at over the past 10 days, when I've really started looking into Malin, I do like the look of the guy. Now, it's always difficult to judge, as I said before, when you've got a player in the Eredivisie, it's difficult to judge, but I do like the look of the guy. What are your predictions for the game at the weekend? I will be recording 2 different shows. So tomorrow I'm going to record with Mark Goldbridge at the United stand. Won't be live tomorrow because I'm doing that. So that video will come out as soon as I finish the watch along of the PSG Manchester City game tomorrow. So recording with Mark Goldbridge tomorrow evening. That video will be out tomorrow night on Anfield Agenda, where we'll be having a look ahead to the game against United at the weekend. We'll be talking a little bit about the Super League fiasco and what's going on at both clubs with regards to the owner. So don't miss out on that one, folks. Make sure you've got your notifications turned on. I'll be doing a watch along tomorrow as well, as I said, and then I'll have my own preview coming out on Friday with my score predictions, starting 11 and all that stuff. Anything on Canade? Nothing new. Again, I wouldn't be expecting news on Canade imminently. That transfer will happen when it happens, but you know, it's, as I said before, as confident as I can be of any transfer taking place, I'm very confident that Canade will just need patience. Remember, it is important to point out that Leipzig still have games to play. Their manager today just agreed a deal to become Bayern Munich manager at the end of the season. World record transfer fee there for Nagelsmann as well, going to Bayern, 25 million euro or something like that. Why not Renato Sanchez to Liverpool to replace Gini? He's certainly in the conversation, Ali Casper. I haven't been told anything to say that Sanchez is high on the priority list, but there are enough journalists out there that have linked him to Liverpool from Lille that there must be something to it, mate. Maybe Klopp looks at him as somebody he can get for a very reasonable fee and who he still thinks can be coached to improve, because there's no doubt when he broke onto the scene, Renato Sanchez was one of the hottest properties in world football, and he went to Bayern Munich then from Benfica and then ended up at Swansea somehow and now over to Lille, where they are top of the French First Division at the minute, and had a remarkable comeback the other night against Lyon from 2 goals down to win 3-2, where Yilmaz scored a couple in that game as well, which, yeah, he must be doing something right. So, you know, whether Renato Sanchez is a viable option or not, I guess time remains to be seen, but he certainly has been mentioned. If we can get a decent fee for Mane, I would take it, said Brian Morrissey. It's so difficult, isn't it, mate? Because we do have to be ruthless, but even though I say tell people not to be sentimental, I do get a little bit sentimental around those front 3 that we have because of all the memories they've given us. But I will bow down to Jurgen Klopp's knowledge on any of this. Whatever the manager and the players want to do, I'm sure we'll see it unfold ahead of us. But it's so difficult to talk about selling any of them. It really is. We need a sub midfielder and a striker. We're going to get a centre-back, possibly 2, depending on what happens with Kabak. We're going to bring in a midfielder. Now it's just a matter of, is it going to be a forward and an attacking wide player, or just a forward? So I can pretty much guarantee it there'll be a centre-back, a midfielder, and a forward. It'll be Canade, potentially Canade and Kabak. Midfield, you're looking at, as that gentleman pointed out a moment ago, Renato Sanchez you can't rule out, Neuhaus you can't rule out, Bissouma you can't rule out, Rodrigo de Paul, as I said to you guys last night, looks to be inching towards a move to AC Milan. Interestingly, while we're talking about AC Milan, did everybody see the thing about Ibrahimovic? He could be about to get a 2 or 3 year ban because of some involvement with a Swedish betting company or something along those lines, which, if he was to receive that ban, would pretty much end his career, because he'd be, 42 then by the time the ban ends, and he's just after agreeing another year's extension with AC Milan. So it'll be interesting to see for any Ibrahimovic fans out there how that one works out. Does your sub count not go up in hundreds anymore? No. One of the I suppose you could call it benefits of hitting 100k is that it goes up in thousands, mate. So no, it doesn't go up in hundreds anymore. When you get to the big boy league, which I'm proud to say you guys have gotten our community into, it only goes up in thousands. I'm good, Dennis. I'm good, mate. I hope you are as well. Signing Kabak will be a terrible decision. The guy can't even run. You are a fucking idiot. Fair. I'm just come out and said it, because sometimes I have to say it. Because I'm sick of reading drivel from morons that don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. Of course he can run, you fucking clown. Do you honestly think he's at Liverpool Football Club playing every week, playing internationals for Turkey, and one of the hottest prospected centre-back in Europe, but he can't run? Shut up, you absolute cabbage. I'm sick of hearing people like you piss all over people before they've even had a chance to get themselves established. He's 20 years of age, he's a damn fine centre-back, and we're going to have a gem on our hands for a really reasonable price. And if you don't like that, mate, you haven't got a fucking clue what you're on about. So just shut up, you absolute dope. I'm honestly fed up of morons like that. You either support Liverpool Football Club and you want our players to do well, or you don't. To say Kabak can't run, do you want me to show you 50 videos of him running? Because I guarantee you he can run. He can run, he can play centre-back, he can head the ball, he can do everything that a good centre-back can do. God almighty, we don't need people like you, mate. Do you know what? I'm just going to save the time for you. I'm just going to kick you out because I don't want to ever see your ridiculous opinions again. Honest to God, after the week we've just had, people trying to pull together, get the club going in the right direction, spread some positivity, we've got idiots coming out and saying the Kabak can't run. Jesus, I don't know. Just get rid of the guy. I'm fed up. Right, where have we got? Where's this idiot's comment so I can remove it? Oh, you've already deleted it. Well played. Yeah, can't run. Stated that. Honest to God. Do you think Marlon could become world class like Mo and Sadio? Again, it's so difficult to gauge players from the Eredivisie, but what I would say is if he comes to Liverpool and if the scouts have looked at all the reports that of course they would have looked at, then I would say, yeah, he's got the potential, mate, because our scouting team is very, very, very good at unearthing gems, as I think you'll find we've done quite well. Even when we think we've overpaid for players, like the Jota fee, when we signed him this year, there was a few eyebrows raised at the amount of money that we paid for him, but then very quickly we'd started to see that perhaps we'd all underestimated him, and I certainly include myself in that one. Brian said he doesn't even have legs, Craig. I know, he just goes around walking on his hands the entire game, Brian. Madness, isn't it? What would you say to all in on a 10? No, I'd rather we got the centre forward personally. In the system we play, unless Klopp's gonna change the system, we kind of do tend to play with a holding midfielder and then two box-to-box midfielders, one that drops back and defends and one that pushes on, and sometimes they rotate, sometimes one goes, one covers, one goes, one covers. And since we got rid of Coutinho, we didn't really ever have a 10, because I don't think the system we have played, now I'm not saying the Klopp may not tweak it as we've seen with the 4-2-3-1 and stuff, but I would rather see us get a straight out through the middle forward and a box-to-box midfielder to replace Genie, but I get where you're coming from. Dean said, FSG won't spend. I've heard the priority this summer will be keeping assets rather than buying. And would you care to tell us where you heard that, Dean? Rather than just saying, I heard, you know, randomly just putting in stuff. And I'm not saying you're wrong, mate, because history has proven that under FSG, you're probably right in what you're saying. We do look to tie down players this summer. Now, I've been told something a little bit different, but again, I'm always open to learning, mate. I'm always open to other opinions, unless it's, of course, the Kabak can't run, which you aren't saying, but that other kibosh that did earlier on. Haaland's not going to happen. We can come on here and say Haaland and Mbappe till the cows come home, but it isn't. Look, let's be realistic. It is not going to happen. When you've got his agent saying he wants to make him the first £1 million a week player, we're not going to be paying anybody that type of money. Sancho incoming, I genuinely don't know. I mean, I would have thought United are going to try and get Sancho because they have been putting the groundwork in on that deal in a long time. Now, maybe they'll hold off and try and make a big push for Haaland. Maybe I'll be surprised by that one. But there certainly has been a couple of different journalists and a couple of different sites linking us to Sancho. As I've said to you before, from my understanding of it is the only way a Sancho type player, i.e. €100 million plus, would be brought in is if we were to sell somebody. And by somebody, I think you know what I mean, one of the front three. Do I like Indian food? I do not. I'm a very plain and boring eater. Any more bids for Liverpool? No, not that I'm aware of, nor do the owners have any intention of selling, from what I've been told as well. And I'm sure what you guys have read elsewhere. And Arsenal don't look like they're going to be sold either. Stan Kroenke and his son have put out a statement to say through Kroenke Sports and Entertainment that they've no intention of selling to the guy that owns Spotify or anybody else, that the club's not for sale, and they plan on trying to push Arsenal forward in the right direction. That should be fun. That should be fun seeing that meltdown happen. Can we sign Rafinha, Saint-Maximin and Daka? That they do seem like entirely possible signings, John. I won't argue with you, mate. Yeah, I can't say for certain, but I would say they're all gettable. So I don't know what Liverpool's transfer targets are. Like, I mean, the actual priority list. I know who some of them are, same as everyone. Some players we've been monitoring, but I don't think that list is entirely unreasonable. Malin, Rafinha and Houssam Aouar, replacement for Gini. Again, I've said this before, Namrud, and I'll say it again. I've no problem whatsoever if we went out and signed Houssam Aouar, but from what I'm hearing, the Basuma Neuhaus type player is more likely than a 10. What's the news about something that you think is not good that you were saying, put in the Discord group, asking for, if you can't say, that's grand. I can't say. And I gave as much information as I could in the Discord group. I can't say anything else because it's a very, very serious subject, and it's something that I can't say openly because I don't want to open that can of worms. But I gave as much information as I could in the Discord group, and I think people got the gist of what I was trying to say. At least I hope they did. Yeah, Win, mate, if you want to come in and try and get your head patted like the other little bitch that was jumping up and down earlier on, mate, just try a new tactic rather than going on about Kabak not being able to run, mate. We've already had that tonight, so you won't get the pat on the head you're looking for, Princess, so move on. Bring Kent back from Rangers. Well, we can't because he's a Rangers player. We sold him. He's not on loan up there. We sold him. There is a lot of interest in Ryan Kent, by the way, from clubs in the Premier League, and Rangers are probably bracing themselves for a bid because he's having a very good season. What do you think of Alan Saint-Maximin? Very good player. Not seen a single thing to suggest we're linked to him, other than Liverpool fans obviously asking him to come and replace Mane, which fair play to Saint-Maximin. He stood up and defended Mane, and I thought that was a class act from somebody who does seem like a class act, by the way. But yeah, he's a good footballer, a very good footballer. Is there a future for Bobby? This one really has me at the red. This one really has me stuck on the fence, mate, because, you know, my personal opinion of Bobby Firmino was that I idolise the ground he walks on. And I think he's Klopp's go-to man as well. But I would have to say that of the front three, as much as it pains me to say it, Bobby would be the one that I think is probably more, how do I put this, worn out than the rest, if that makes any sense. I think that he has been more affected by getting on an age, the amount of minutes he's played, the type of game that he plays that involved a lot of running and pressing. So as much as it pains me to say it, if we had to lose one of the front three, I think the likely one, with Jota having come in, would probably be Firmino. Or not the likely one, because I don't know what Klopp's thinking. That's unfair for me to say. The most palatable one is probably the best way I can put it. But it is a really difficult situation because you can make an argument for the three of them in different ways. You can make an argument for Salah because he's bringing the most money. You can make an argument for Mane because he's had a bit of an off season, and you can make an argument for Firmino for the same reason. But I can also defend Salah by using the amount of goals that he scored, which would be fair. And I can say that Mane had COVID and had a difficult season. But Bobby, I struggle to. I really do, even though he's my favourite player. I struggle to pinpoint what it could possibly be. Because if anything, with Jota coming in, I would have thought that would have maybe upped Bobby's game a little bit and, you know, see him push on. But I get the feeling Father Time is catching up with Bobby, whether it be the high intensity of the way he's played and the pressing, as I said, catching up with him. I don't know, but I just get that feeling. And it's not something I ever like to talk about because I love the lad. Updates on Rafinha? There's absolutely none. Ali, mate, none that I've heard. Yeah, sorry. I wish I could give you some more positive news, mate. What was said in Discord? Well, obviously, I'm not going to tell you what was said in the Discord group, mate. Hence the reason why it stays in the Discord group. So if you want to get into the Discord group and get these bits of information, you need to become a member of Anfield Agenda FC, which is $4.99 a month. like every other channel, and that's why these people pay the $4.99 a month, because I can tell them things that I can't put into public chats because I don't feel confident enough going public with the information. But I trust the people in our Discord group who have always kept things on the wrap. So there you go. So if you want to find out about it, you gotta wait or join the Discord group. What have we got? What about Jack Grealish? Realistically, do you think Liverpool are going to fund the move for Jack Grealish? Honestly, no, not trying to put you down or at him, buddy, but would any of us mind him coming? Not at all. He's a great footballer, but I can only imagine the amount of money it would take to get Jack Grealish out of Aston Villa. Do I think Nico is a good backup? Yes, but I suppose the balance there is he a good backup? Is he good enough to come in and replace Trent if Trent was injured for 10 games? That's where I'm not 100% sure just yet, but again, that's why Kloppo gets paid the big bucks. But there's certainly a player there. There's no doubt about that. Darren Neal said, I think Camavinga would be a good signing. He would. And look, at 18 years of age, very highly thought of throughout the game, being monitored by every top club in Europe. I don't doubt for 1 second, mate, that he's got a huge future ahead of him. I just wonder if we were to bring him in to, let's say, replace Gini, you're taking out somebody with the experience of Gini Wijnaldum and bringing in a really young, inexperienced player, albeit with a huge potential. It just doesn't seem like a like-for-like type thing, if you get where I'm coming from. I would expect, and again, I'm just spitballing here, I would expect somebody between the age of 23 to 26 to probably come in to be the solution in midfield for Gini. Fabrizio Romano just tweeted about Liverpool and the transfer. Which transfer, Keen, mate? Sorry, I may have missed something earlier on in the chat, but I don't know which transfer you're talking about, pal. Opinions on Belotti. Very good player. Arsenal looked at him a few years ago. He's always done fairly well there at Torino, but not for me at Liverpool. I just don't think it would be the right move. I'm always nervous about signing people from Serie A as well. I seem to be saying that a lot lately, though, don't I, about a lot of leagues. Right, ladies and gents, again, just a reminder, tomorrow I'm going to be recording with Mark Aldridge of the United Stand. We're going to be talking about the Super League. We're going to be having a little look ahead to the game of the weekend at Old Trafford. It's not going to be a live stream because our schedules just wouldn't allow it to happen. We're both busy in different ways. So I'm going to be recording that. That'll be coming out tomorrow night as soon as we finish the watch-along on Mundo Sporto of the PSG Man City game. But it will, of course, be coming out here on Anfield Agenda. So make sure you've got your notifications turned on for that one. Missed out on the Europa League, or can we get top 4? Do you know what, mate? Honestly, I prefer to miss out altogether. I mean, my worst case scenario is that we end up in that Europa Conference League, mate. But for me, I really, really don't like the idea of Thursday, Sunday, and I'm sure you guys don't as well. But if there's any positive to be taken out of the Europa League, and there's very few, it is an opportunity perhaps to give the likes of Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Nico Williams, Reece Williams, Queevy Kelleher, to give these guys the opportunity to blossom. So if you think back to when Harry Kane really broke through at Spurs, it was in the Europa League campaign. So if there is any benefit to be had from it, and look, there isn't really many, that's probably the only one I can see. Excuse me, folks, had to clear my throat. I'd rather no Europa League. So would I, but from a purely selfish perspective as a fan of football as well, the more Liverpool games, the better, even though we wouldn't want to watch them at sometimes, if you get where I'm coming from. But yeah, realistically, for the effect it would have on our league form, I get where you're coming from. Now, let me just talk for a second again about the new Champions League that was announced. So, again, the more information I have on this, I'll bring to you. But one thing that I want to point out that is very comparable to the Super League is that the top 8 teams in this Champions League, and that's what it will be. It'll be 36 teams in one league. It's called a Swiss system. Each team will play some high-ranked teams, some medium, some low-ranked teams. Top 8 will go through to the last 16. But not only that, the top 8 in this Champions League, which starts in 2024, will also see their place guaranteed in next season's Champions League, or in the next season's Champions League. Places 9 to 24 will play off against each other to make it through to the last 16 to play those teams that finish 1 to 8. But therein lies one of the little secrets that I was saying to you yesterday. The top 8 in the Champions League are guaranteed to be in there the following season. So I wonder, where's the incentive to carry on doing well domestically? So if you put all your eggs in the Champions League basket and you can finish in those top 8 places, So basically you win the majority of your 10 games. You're guaranteed to be in there the following year. So I just wonder, will this eventually kind of lead to the same thing? Will we see clubs putting all the stock in the Champions League because they know if we do well and concentrate solely on those 10 games, we can pretty much guarantee ourselves in that competition every year? And then you have the coefficient and the legacy rankings and stuff as well that could see teams ranked as low as 5th, 6th, 7th go into the Champions League. So something to keep an eye on with regard to that new competition as well, because there's a lot of comparisons. There are a lot of things that are comparable to the Super League there. Anything about Fabinho? Nothing. If you're talking about the Real Madrid stuff, it's complete horseshit. Don't pay it any attention whatsoever. Fabinho wants to stay here. The club want to give him a new deal, and I would imagine you'll see himself and Virgil signing new deals over the summer. Sarr from Watford. I think I've mentioned this a few times. If they kept Sarr when they went down, I don't see why they'd sell him when they come back up, because they're going to want to stay in the Premier League. And we did inquire about Sarr before we signed Jota, and I spoke to you guys before. They wanted a lot of money up front, and we weren't willing to do that at the time. United have also been monitoring him, but nothing new from what I can see. Basuma or Camavinga? For me, I'd go with Basuma because of a bit more experience, but as I said before, the appeal of Camavinga is quite obvious. Craig has officially joined Liverpool on a 5-year deal. There you go, mate. Yeah, nail it. Take that to the bank. What are my top 5 transfer targets this summer? It depends. It depends where we finish. It depends if we move somebody on. So, I could say here and name off Mbappe, Haaland, Sancho, yada yada, but that's unrealistic. And I think a lot may depend on if we move a forward on or not, or a wide player on or not. I don't really know if missing out on the Champions League will have too much of an effect. I mean, I can't see how the owners could spin that as more negative PR, if you get me, because they're already scrambling to try and get positive PR out there with what's happened with the Super League and stuff. So I don't think they're going to want it to be out there in the media that if we don't get Champions League football, our transfer targets are going to be affected. Jonathan David, are we talking about the guy from Lille? Is that the guy you're talking about? Is he from Lille? Is he from Lille? I think he's from Lille, if that's the guy you're talking about. Nothing that I've heard on him. Forsberg, again, nothing that I've seen, mate. There was some lazy links to him in January, but nothing new that I've seen. Thank you. Someone said congratulations on 100k. Thank you so much. Honestly, I'm still in shock. Genuinely. Myself and Connor are like lunatics, refreshing the email account, seeing if the email from YouTube is there to say, you can go and get your plaque now, but still waiting. Souček to replace Genie. I don't think West Ham will want to sell him after the great season that he's had. A very good footballer, definitely, but nothing that I've seen, nothing to suggest. But then again, look, don't take everything I say as gospel, because nobody had a Scooby-Doo about Diogo Jota. Nobody had any hint about Fabinho when that happened. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because somebody hasn't been linked publicly, we may not see a surprise. So, yeah, there is that. It's a pretty slow day today, folks. I won't lie to you. Other than the stuff around the losses the club has sustained through COVID and the wage bill, there's not really too much else floating around today. It's been rather quiet. Are you close to 102k? I think we're about 330 away, something like that, mate. What's your opinion on Dembele? Thank you for bringing that up, Connor Smulders, by the way, because we spoke about this a little bit yesterday. Now, for those that aren't aware, Ousmane Dembele has 1 year remaining on his Barcelona contract. I don't know if Barcelona will be able to offer him a package and a wage that will be enough to keep him there, or if they may look to cash in. And there's been talk of 40 to 50 million pound maybe being enough to get Ousmane Dembele this year. And I know he has an injury record. I know there's been questions about his attitude, but I have to say, at that type of price point, if you're not going to get a Sancho, and with the possibility of getting to keep the front three as well, I can see some sense being made of that. I really can. Obviously, he rented Kloppo's house off him previously before, and I don't know if there is truth to it or not. I'm still trying to find out, but it makes some sense to me, and it's only because, like the Thiago situation, it could be the right player for the right wage and the right fee at the right time. Whereas if Thiago had 3 years left in his Bayern contract, we weren't going to be getting him. Anything about Neuhaus or Pulisic? No, Pulisic's gone really, really quiet, mate. Really quiet. Neuhaus, again, there still is a lot of links there and definitely interest according to Christian Falk as well. So again, I would put Neuhaus in the Basuma category of entirely plausible. I don't think that the Ollie Watkins rumours are genuine, Gabe. I don't, mate. Just my opinion on it, though. No more injury-prone players. I hear you. I hear where you're coming from, mate. I do. If Barca still have money for Coutinho, which they don't, again, I've told you guys this before. Liverpool sold off that debt to a different agency, for want of it. They cashed in. If you want to imagine, we had a piece of paper that said we're owed 17 million. Well, Liverpool cashed that in a while ago to I don't know how they deal with these things, selling bonds or equity. I don't know how it's done, but I know that we've cashed in on that already. Thoughts on Calvin Phillips? Is that who you're asking me about, Ali? Again, won't leave Leeds, but good player. Do I think Coutinho will come back? No, absolutely no chance. But he has been linked to Everton. I'm sure you've seen that over the past 48 hours as well. Rafinha is a must. Look, I have no problems whatsoever, my friend, if we sign Rafinha. What's your opinion on Thiago right now? We're not able to get the best out of him yet, for whatever reason, whether it be the rhythm of our play, whether it be the setup of the midfield like we spoke about before. But it's fair to say it hasn't been the breakthrough first season we'd all hoped for. But then again, he still does have 3 years left, and I think maybe about using him sparingly. No problem, Norman, mate. No need to apologise, my friend. It's lovely to have you in. Look, ladies and gents, I'm going to leg it. Sai said real quick thoughts on Rodrigo de Paul. Very good player, mate, but as I said earlier on in the stream, looks like he could be going to AC Milan if reports out of Italy are to be believed. And it's often the case that players in Italy like that will move to a higher level club in Italy. And obviously AC Milan look nailed on for a Champions League place next season. So I would imagine that they probably will get that deal done. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leg it over to Mundo Sporto now to do a watch along of the Real Madrid game against Chelsea. If you want to follow me over there, there's a link pinned to the top of the chat right now. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on here before you head off and turn your notifications on. And make sure to go over and subscribe to Mundo Sporto as well, because I'll be on there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week doing watch alongs. As always, thank you to all of you. I hope you have a lovely evening. If you're watching this back later on, sorry, it was a bit of a quiet Liverpool news day today. And I will be putting out that video with Mark Aldridge of the United stand tomorrow night after the watch along of the Manchester City versus Paris Saint-Germain. No, Paris Saint-Germain versus Manchester City game. And it will be going up on this channel. So make sure you've got your notifications for that turned on. Look, ladies and gentlemen, have a lovely evening. Lots of love to you all. I hope you're all well. And I hope to see you at Mundo Sporto momentarily for that game, because it should be